Printable Science presents 3D printed pipe miter clamps. Followers of Printable Science know that I've engaged a YouTube content creator consulting firm to help me make millions. And they sent over Isabella and Oliver, whose primary contribution was to tell me that I'm boring. Isabella and Oliver? Who names their kids Isabella and Oliver? Whatever happened to proper women's names like Tiffany and Crystal and manly names like Todd and Chuck? Oh well, clearly I'm just getting old. Anyway, they said I was boring. And when I asked them how I could be less boring, they suggested I hurt myself. But I told them I didn't want to hurt myself and that I didn't like hurting myself. And I asked them why I should hurt myself, and they said, because it's funny. So apparently that's what the world's come to. To generate more views, subscribers, and watch time, I have to hurt myself. What I have to do in the name of science is getting ridiculous. But anyway, stick around. I'll try to get around to hurting myself at some point in this video, and then we can all have a good laugh, I guess. Now, in previous videos, I let you know that there are a number of upcoming projects from Printable Science that make good use of either PVC or EMT tubing. You don't have to use either of those materials, as you can use your 3D printer to produce equivalent printed profiles on your 3D printer. And if you want to print off PVC tubing, instead of buying it, then you should check out this link up here. There. The same goes for EMT. It's going to be our tubing of choice, but once again, you don't have to use EMT tubing. You can print off what you need to finish your projects on your 3D printer, and there's a link up here to the STL files for EMT tubing profiles. Of course, if you've gone out and bought some PVC or EMT, then you'll need to cut it to size. And in a previous video, we provided instructions on how to print your own mini hacksaw handle. And there's a link to that video up there as well. A problem that can arise, especially if you're trying to cut metal, is that until you've managed to establish some kind of kerf, the blade drifts around and scratches up the material you're trying to cut. More than that, in freehand mode, it's almost impossible to make the cut square. The solution, of course, is to use a miter box, which is simply a box-like piece of something with a guide for a saw blade perpendicular or at set angles to the material. In order to work, the sides of the miter box have to be taller than the piece you want to cut, and traditionally the bed of a miter box is a lot wider than the material, so that you have to hold the piece against the side you're cutting so that you can hold the saw in your other hand and place it in the guides and cut. However, if you're using a mini hacksaw handle, then a miter box isn't very practical. The sides of the miter box are quite often so high that the blade guide hits the top of the miter box wall long before the blade even makes contact with the work. So what we've come up with is a clamp specifically designed for cutting with our mini hacksaw handle or just a hacksaw handle itself. And it's simple to use and simple to print. We printed this project in PLA for a 0.4 millimeter nozzle, 2 perimeters, 3 top and bottom layers, and a 0.2 millimeter Z or Z layer. We printed this in 2 parts. The box itself with a 20% infill and the clamp bolt at 85% infill in order to give the thread the extra bit of strength. So there you have the clamp and the bolt. Now you may want to increase the number of perimeters from 2, as the blade has a tendency to wander even in a guide, so that it starts cutting into the sides of the miter box, and once it does that, then it'll start to wander quite a bit. So extra perimeters will prevent that from happening too quickly. We've provided STL files for 3 different sizes of clamp miters, because even though you should be able to secure a 1/2-inch pipe even in the 1-inch clamp, you'll find that matching the clamp size to the diameter of the pipe you're cutting provides a more satisfactory experience. And let's not forget, custom sizes for custom work is one of the areas that 3D printers provide value added. We don't need to manufacture a miter clamp for any conceivable size. so that we can sell it as a universal miter pipe clamp. We can scale and print off clamps for the specific pipe diameter we're using. So if you need to cut larger or smaller clamps for diameters that don't work well with the 3 sizes we've supplied, and you're a Printable Science Patreon supporter, you can check out how to get files for a pipe clamp for smaller and larger diameter pipes. But for the larger pipe clamps especially, you'll probably need a printer with a larger build volume than our 90 cubic millimeter design prototype size. Now, there's no real assembly to speak of. You just screw the clamp bolt into the clamp itself, and you're kind of ready to go. And after you've marked off the tubing you want to cut, you simply slip the clamp onto the tube and fasten it down to where you want to make the cut, and then tighten the nut so that it can't slide around. For any pipe diameter larger than a 1/2 inch in diameter, you're going to find our mini hacksaw handle just doesn't cut it. It doesn't have the throat clearance to cut through the pipe. So we've included an STL file of what's basically the mini hacksaw handle, but with no knockout in the end where the beam goes. And the wide miter slot in our clamp actually provides ample guidance for the hacksaw blade, so the need for the top hacksaw handle frame is not needed. And so what you can do is just slip the blade into the handle and tighten it down at an appropriate spot. How's that? So we've got that all in there now, and that's ready to go. With the pipe fastened in the clamp and the slot lined up with the mark you need, you just take your mini hacksaw handle or hacksaw blade, drop it into the slot, and start cutting. Oh, ow, ow, oh that, ow, ow. I put my thumb into the clamp and I've cut right through it. Oh, my, that hurts bad. Ow, ow. Now I have no thumb. Ooh, I've clean cut through it. How funny is that? Yes. And voila. What you have here is a just a little bend here. You have a perfectly cut piece of pipe. Now, it is hard work, and in relatively short time, you're probably going to be thinking about perhaps buying some kind of Dremel or saw or some other kind of electric contraption that can cut through pipe much easier. But if you're stranded on a tropical island and all you've got is a hacksaw blade and a 3D printer, this is the way to go. And you'll probably find lots of other situations in which our 3D pipe clamp can be of use to you. We hope our pipe clamp miter box is of use to you and that you find it useful for when you want to make perfectly perpendicular cuts in pipe. Thanks for watching. And won't you help by becoming an important part of the Printable Science family and making this channel more valuable and successful? You can help by taking the time to watch this video in its entirety. Remember, I hurt myself. That's a must watch. And other Printable Science videos as well, perhaps while your printer is printing off this project. You can leave comments and questions below that will help us to continue to create useful videos and 3D STL files that are pretty ready and help you to maximize the power and utility of your 3D printer. Your feedback is very important. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, please click the thumbs up button. And if you have just a moment, won't you show your support by clicking the subscribe button below? If you want to make sure you don't miss our upcoming videos on 3D printing, you want to click on the notify bell as well. I'm sure you won't want to miss a single video where I hurt myself because, let's face it, pain is funny. And please consider supporting Printable Science on Patreon using the links supplied below. You can become one of our Patreon supporters for as little as $1 a month, and it'll provide you with lots of extras and additional information, as well as going a long way to defray the cost of making these files and videos. Down below, you'll also find a link where you can download a copy of the STL files from Thingiverse so that you can print your own pipe clamps and your hacksaw handle and related files. And as always, you can download a copy of the STL files for this and other projects directly from our website. The latest files and a discussion board on the pipe clamp miter box are available at the printablescience.com website, where all the science that fits, we print.